tuning in to the Embodied Astrology podcast. I'm Renee Sills. I'm a consulting astrologer, embodiment educator, and the creator of Embodied Astrology. Embodied Astrology is much more than these horoscopes in our podcast. It's actually a movement that is full of people who are interested in the ways that astrology can help us more deeply embody our earthly and universal intelligence at this time. We offer ongoing classes, workshops, trainings, and community process spaces where we practice astrology as a language for living. We blend astrology with art, science, healing methodologies, and activist strategies. We hold space for ourselves and each other to expand and explore symbolism, mythology, and meaning, to queer, unpack, and evolve this ancient technology in service of our present needs and future potentials. If this sounds like something you've been looking for, or if my readings resonate for you and you want to take them to the next level, I hope you'll join us sometime. Stick around after your horoscope and I'll tell you a bit more about what we offer, how we work, and why I think embodied astrology might be a great space for you too. If this work benefits you and you want to help me keep giving these monthly readings for free, or help us keep all of our offerings available with financial accessibility and sliding scale, please take a moment right now to like, follow, and subscribe to our channels. This season's horoscopes are intuitive offerings for each sign of the zodiac. May they serve and support you in some way. Listen for your sun, moon, and rising signs. Remember that not everything is for everyone. Take what works, leave the rest, and make the meaning that's most meaningful for you. Thanks so much for being here. Now, onto your horoscope. Hello, Virgo. Welcome to Scorpio season. This is a reading for all of your Virgo placements, especially sun, moon, and rising. Scorpio lives in a very special part of the Virgo charts, and this part of the charts has a lot to do with how Virgo functions as an energetic principle. Where Scorpio lives for Virgo is in the place of the mind and communications. It's the part in the chart where we are impacted and attuned and embedded within our environments, and what is all around us actually is part of developing our nervous systems. And we as beings who are always becoming conscious and learning to language and speak and needing to metabolize and digest information so that we can have a sense of what is going on and what we want to do about it or how we want to engage with it. This is the place where Scorpio lives for you. And Scorpio, as you probably know, resonates with some key words like intense, penetrating, cutting, passionate. Scorpio as an energetic quality really resonates with Virgo as an energetic quality in the sense that both of these signs can really look into the complexity of things. Both of these signs like to cut back what is superficial or superfluous. Both of these signs are deeply invested and integrated inside of a healing process. And also, Scorpio living in this place for Virgo can emphasize some of the Virgoan qualities that have to do with criticality, sharpness, edginess, and a kind of sensitivity to what is unprocessed or underneath surface consciousness in the general environment where you are. Over the course of this particular Scorpio season in 2024, there is a lot that's happening in the element of water, which is where Scorpio lives. And all of this that's happening for Virgo feels to me like an intensely emotional time for everybody, but especially in certain ways for Virgo-identified people and water-identified people. In your chart, I'm feeling that there is a lot of emotion that's present, and emotion that's present can move in so many different ways, just like water can take so many different forms. And over the course of not just Scorpio season, but the last month or 2 months or so, and ongoing for the next several seasons, there's a lot of movement in water that is compelling emotional consciousness and a surfacing of emotional content. So the first thing that I want to say for all of you Virgos out there is that this is a period of time and a quality of time that sometimes might seem to be kind of defeating to the parts of your Virgoan earthy nature that really want to know what job you can do. There are qualities to Virgo that can definitely be like fix-it qualities, or again, your sign really resonates with healers and with healing. And honestly, there's so much pain in the atmosphere right now and in the world, and probably that you're resonating with and aware of as well. And it can feel overwhelming. It can be absolutely too much for any individual person to have to try and sort out or deal with or heal or fix. And if that's what we're trying to do, if we're trying to show up in productive ways and in ways that make positive, lasting, effective impacts, that's great. But if we're doing that without giving ourselves time and space to be messy and emotional and let ourselves actually just be held in the experiences that we're having, then our productivity and our actions and our efforts aren't going to be that sustainable. And worst case scenario, not only will they be unsustainable, they'll actually contribute to harm. What happens when we don't check in and give space and time to what's personal for us, to the big feelings that we're having, or kind of the vastness and complexity of what is happening in the world around us? If we don't make space and time for that kind of sensing and listening and processing and being with, then often what we're resorting to is coping mechanisms and survival strategies. And most of us, if not all of us, have coping mechanisms and survival strategies that are somewhat rooted in experiences of dislocation and dismemberment of some kind. And when I say dismemberment, I'm talking about our collective experience. All of us alive on Earth at this time have experienced intense, incredible separation between ourselves in the ways that we experience difference and distance inside of our ancestry and lineages, between our bodies and land and spirit. And these kinds of disturbances and dismemberments create a need to survive out of whatever we can grasp at any given moment. And so many of us have been gifted by lineages and ancestries that have taught us technologies of survival. And many of them have given us incredible tools for coping. And also many of them have given us such support for being with and not necessarily needing to have the answers for. So in Scorpio season, Virgos, if you walk away from this horoscope with anything, I hope that what you take with you is absolute permission to not know the big answer for yourself or for anyone else out there. I hope that you take away a sense of containment and soothing that water can give when you totally surrender your weight to its bigness, to its vastness, and to its life-giving, nourishing potentialities. And I hope that you give yourself time and space to feel what's coming up for you and to not need to mobilize immediately into action. Your capacity to process, to be with, your willingness and generosity to yourself and to others this season is so, so, so important. Now, sometimes this is easier said than done, especially for those of us with Virgo placements. And as we move through the season, there is a kind of energetic momentum that is building. And many people are going to start to feel that this overwhelm of water and the big feelings that are present now want to start to metabolize and move into action, into uprising, into making some kind of statement. Now, this could look many different ways for many different people. This could take shape for you in deeply, deeply personal ways, where you have the feeling that you need to really protect your own energy so that you can consolidate around your intention and what I'm going to say is like your central intelligence, and put it out in some ways that really cares for your family, your community, your home. Some of you may really be feeling that you need to care for your own psychology, your inner body state. Due to everything that I was talking about a couple of moments ago, you might be really on track with this, feeling that Scorpio season is a time that needs you to coalesce and get coherent in what is totally central to you, to your connection with earth, with spirit, with sky, in the individual incarnation that you are here now. Some of you are going to feel a big collective momentum, particularly as we move out of Scorpio season and into the next several decades. A lot of you are really feeling yourself compelled and moved towards taking part in what feels much bigger than you. This could look like community organizing, mutual aid work, and solidarity. This could look like attending to your home, your family, your environment, and your personal lives with a greater degree of systemic awareness. A lot of you are getting a lot of big downloads right now about how what seem to be very disparate and distinct pieces of a puzzle are actually part of the same big picture. And I think that this is a season that is inviting you to really investigate the relationship between the macro and the micro. How is what you're experiencing personally in your life, in your environment, and in your relationships connected with the larger web of what's happening in the world? And how can you specifically take actions that are completely unique to you, even though they might look like actions that a lot of people are doing? If you're joining in a collective movement, for example, maybe you're part of a cleanup effort, or maybe you are going to a protest, or maybe you are part of some larger solidarity stream. Your voice is unique. Your capacities are unique. How you will meet the moment and meet other people inside of those spaces are totally unique to you. You have very, very particular, very special gifts and generosities to give to this time. You have skills that you have cultivated and developed. You also have challenges and weaknesses that are important parts of collective learning. You do not need to be perfect to be engaged with healing or to do anything that feels creative, productive, and beneficial in the world. All you have to do is be real. All you have to do is show up with what you have to bring and trust that what you have to bring is absolutely enough. And when you consider how you are part of a larger tapestry, how you are tuning in with the greater kind of story that's unfolding at this time, then that supports you to make decisions and to orient yourself in your thoughts, in your words, in your actions and behaviors in ways that really serve the greatest good and the collective good. As we move from September into October. Did I get that right? No. As we move from October into November, the first week and a half or so of Scorpio season, we are moving towards a new moon in Scorpio. The new moon arrives on November 1st, and this is a deep, dark new moon. This is a new moon that is really asking us to go deep and to be with what's here and compelling us into the emotional intensity and resonances of this time. This is a period of time when a lot of people are experiencing profound overwhelm and depression. That may or may not be you in this particular moment, but it is definitely something to keep in mind as you navigate through the realms of relationships. This is a new moon that is asking you to tune in, again, with your unique capacities to be here in this moment as you. Who are you? Your body, your positionality, your social location, again, your gifts, your challenges, your weaknesses, those are all parts, important parts of your spiritual path. This new moon asks you to bring yourself with your entirety and enter into a space of deep and profound listening. Listening practice can be something that you do in your mind and with your ears as you listen to others speak out and share. Listening practice can also be something that you do in your heart and in your body, working internally to bring yourself into presence, to connect and attune with what is here and now. Your connection and attunement around this new moon opens you up for really profound insight and awareness. This is a new moon that is definitely boosting your intuitive capacities and your sensitivity and empathy. Now, I also want to say that this is a new moon that is asking you to check in with your communication. This is a period of time that needs your honesty as well as your care. Many of you are working some important issues out right now in your relationships. This can include familial relationships, partner relationships, friend relationships, and relationships to larger organizations, collectives, causes, or groups. I think that Virgo has been learning so many lessons about boundaries, containment, and needs. A lot of you have been discovering how you can be more steady and stable in the ways that you hold relationships by also being more honest, and I'm going to say more fiercely protective of your right to be honest. Your capacity to tune in with what's true for you and articulate that truth in ways that are not being avoidant, not people pleasing, not trying to fix it for somebody else, but really taking responsibility for what's happening internally for you, gives other people the opportunity to arrive with their own truths, and gives everybody the opportunity to up-level their, I'm going to say, emotional maturity. Emotional maturity could be the title of the chapter of your current life book right now. I think a lot of you are really skill building in this domain. And when I think about emotional maturity, first and foremost, what comes to me is the capacity to be with ourselves effectively, brilliantly, and exquisitely. We in our bodies carry like 10,000 inner children who are always having feelings about what's happening. We in our bodies carry ancestral resonances and lineages. We are sensitive to each other and to our environments. And a lot of us, definitely myself included, have not grown up in societies or familial cultures that really teach us how to be with what's happening for us and take responsibility for it in ways that allow us to also be with each other. For example, many of us have seen so many examples of somebody feeling triggered about something, and instead of doing some inner inquiry and maybe some somatic practice and maybe breathing a little bit or journaling a little, trying to sort out, okay, what's triggering me right now? What do I actually need? Instead of doing any of that, what they do is they just press the trigger button even deeper. They have an outburst. They are reactive. They make a big declaration. They shut a door. They escalate a situation. And then everybody's trauma comes online. To keep ourselves grounded and centered in times of increasing escalation and reactivity is the work of maturation. This is skill building, and this is such a deep need for our society and our world right now. Virgos, I think that y'all are some of the folks right at the front of the line doing this work. And I think that there's something about this work that you actually are trying to bring in to the collective in some way. This feeling of whatever might resonate for you about this particular kind of work, about working with the collective in some way, might really start to get amplified as we move into November. The 2 weeks between the new moon on November 1st and the full moon on November 15th are weeks that are full of a rising kind of energy and momentum. In these weeks, many people will be feeling this momentum as urgency and escalation. I want to invite you and myself and anyone listening to tune in with these weeks as an opportunity to actually slow down. In our slowing down, we're not trying to be avoidant. We're not shutting anything out. We are slowing down inside of our internal processes and really trying to map what's happening for us in the fluids and the tissues and the pulses and temperatures and sensations of our body. We're trying to pay attention to where our immediate defenses and coping mechanisms might want to come online right away. And we're trying to pause in those moments where something might get activated to really ask ourselves in our body, minds, our hearts, our spirits, our souls, what does this serve right now? Is this serving what I want to be contributing to? This is a time to really dedicate yourself to making skillful choices and remembering that whatever you are saying, doing, or taking action on right now has potentially long-term impacts. In order to set yourself up for the best results, moving slowly, moving with awareness, and moving in ways that allow for the truth of feelings for yourself and for others to be present is so important. Now, a lot of you are having feelings right now that you want to move on or move with. Some of you might be feeling like you literally need to move. You cannot be in the place that you are right now. There might be, or maybe recently you have moved, and there may be really great reasons for you to get a move on. As we flow through the rest of the year, so from Scorpio season into the first quarter of next year, the first several months of 2025, many of you are kind of back and forth with something. And I think that there's a decision that a lot of you are trying to make right now that in many ways has a very material, realistic component. So again, issues of location, domicile, your home, your environment, your family, and your relationships are really taking like the top note on the harmonics for this season. But ultimately, I think that what you're doing is you're trying to transition internally into the next chapter, whatever that's going to look like for you. And the next chapter to me feels more creative in some way than the current chapter. And I don't know what that means for you specifically, but the feeling that I get is that a lot of you are really trying to access your heart and your internal authentic energy right now. There's a feeling that you cannot fucking fake it anymore. And I don't know what that means, but someone needed to hear it like that. There's a feeling that whatever it is that you're doing, however it is that you are applying your energy and your resources, that's your time, that's your attention, that's your labor, and that's certainly your material resources. However you are applying yourself, you need to be invested and investing in what is honestly what you want to see growing. If you're applying yourselves in ways that feel kind of like a rote, predictable habit or pattern where you're just going through the motions because this is what you need to do in order to sustain or survive or get by or get through, that's going to feel agitating. And Scorpio season might really be turning up the dial on the agitation levels. So again, ideally, we have you moving from a place of centered self-awareness and a kind of devotional practice even to listening to what your truth and guidance are at this time. And in order for you to move from those spaces, you have to be able to listen deeply. You have to be able to listen underneath the noise of reactivity, of drama, and of like coping survival strategies and mechanisms. So in this 2-week period of time between November 1st and November 15th, please Virgos, I beg you, slow down. I'm giving a nod to a teacher of mine who is a Virgo named Bio Akamalafe. You may have come across his amazing work somewhere, somehow. He's on a lot of podcasts. I would highly, highly recommend that you check him out. He has a number of podcast episodes and places where he's written something to the effect of, "The times are urgent. Let us slow down." And the methodology that he is referencing there is a methodology of embodiment. He is saying to us that we cannot find our way out of this mess of the current time, of whatever might be arising in our personal lives. We cannot find our way out of here by moving with the same kind of momentum and speed that got us here. In order to really do the work of transformation and alchemical healing in this moment, and this is so deeply what Scorpio invites us into, we have to be able to feel it, to become intimate with it, and actually in our bodies to be sites of transformation to happen in real time, so that our affect and our energy and our emotions and our thoughts all change. And then that becomes external, outward and worldly action. All right, the last thing that I want to say is that the end of Scorpio season brings in the energy of the Taurus full moon. Taurus is your fellow earth sign, and this is a full moon that is really asking you to arrive here on earth. As a Virgo, you are a living embodiment of earthly creativity and intelligence. Your sign is one of my favorite signs to do symbolic poetry with because I always think about the ways that Earth is so brilliant. Earth always knows what's needed and where. When Earth is tended in ways and allowed to be in its natural organic intelligence, the palette is always perfect. There's always the right support for what's right next door. Symbiotic relationships, mutuality, and reciprocity are the language of natural intelligence. Virgos, you hold that intelligence in your body minds. It is a very, very central to who you are. And however you might manifest in your life, whatever your career is, whatever your relationships look like, whatever choices you have coming up for you in Scorpio season and beyond, part of what you're here to do is apply earthly intelligence. And earthly intelligence needs you to be tuning in with Earth. You are a part of Earth. Taurus is the earthiest of all the earth signs. It is the sign that really brings us into the fertility and the weight and the richness of Earth. Taurus holds the opposite place of Scorpio in your chart. It represents the big picture, the vast promise, philosophies, ideals, and practices that keep you moving towards a vision. This full moon on November 15th is asking you to include yourself in your biggest vision for life on Earth. And remember that you as an individual body are actually a moment in time, but your energy is timeless. As an individual body, you are a conduit for so many teachers, teachings, philosophies, gifts that you have received, influences that flow into you. And you are here in the midst of Earth becoming, creating change, shaping the world in the ways that you will. And this is an opportunity for you to really give of yourself generously and abundantly with a lot of joy and creativity. Welcome in this full moon by getting outside, breathing fresh air, hugging a tree, getting your feet in some grass. You can welcome this moon also by really getting into your body, paying attention to what feels pleasurable, what feels supportive, what feels nourishing, and even getting beyond that kind of qualitative idea of pleasure and nourishment and goodness and just getting into your senses, coming back to your senses. This is a full moon that really wants to support you as you move into some big next steps that start to make themselves known in the last couple days of Scorpio season. And as we move into Sagittarius season, I think that a lot of you are looking at the next chapter from a new perspective. There are things that you are going to discover about yourself and about your relationships and about what's happening in larger ways throughout Scorpio season. What you're discovering requires you to listen deeply and to go down and in, and to do the work of slowing down, to stay attentive and present, so that you can really be in your biggest offering for this time. And when you tune in and tap into that place, Virgo, doors open for you. You are going to know what the right next move is, where it is, and with whom. Okay, I hope any or all of that feels supportive for you in Scorpio season. Please stick around for a couple of minutes. I have an 8-minute addendum to give to you with a little bit more astrology for the upcoming months and some information about what Embodied Astrology is up to, because I think that a lot of what we're doing might actually be a really great space and a great fit for you and what you're doing. Thanks for listening to your Scorpio season reading. If this horoscope resonated for you, please show your support by liking, following, and subscribing, and by sharing our work with your friends and community. These are the #1 ways to support this work and help us grow. If this work benefits you, I also hope you'll consider working more deeply with us at Embodied Astrology. Because we time our classes, workshops, and events with current transits, we're always offering to the present moment, and we are usually right on time. Every month and throughout the seasons, we engage the creative, experimental, and experiential aspects of current astrology. And our work is always given with an ethos of generosity and accessibility. Our classes, workshops, and series are available with scholarships and by sliding scale, and no one is turned away for lack of funds. We do rely on your support and presence to keep us going, though. Please help sustain and support our work by making a one-time or recurring donation, or becoming a member, or sign up for one of our current or upcoming offerings. This season, I hope you'll join me for Somatic Space, which is a class I offer every Monday where we prepare ourselves to work with the astrology of the week ahead through gentle, healing body practices, breathwork, meditation, and visualization. You can drop in once to try it out, or if you become a member, you'll also get access to the past classes video archive and Tea Time, which is a monthly conversation space where we learn and share how astrology is moving through our lives. Both Tea Time and Somatic Space are great ways to get to know me a bit better and for me to get to know you. Our conversations and practices are always rich, vast, and heartfelt, and the connections and community that build in these spaces is so deeply nourishing and incredibly special. In early December of this year, Mars will station retrograde in Leo. Over the course of the following 3 months until next February, Mars will retrocess or retrograde from Leo to Cancer, where it stations direct at the end of next February. Between now and December, the retrograde influence of Mars is increasing as we move through what's called a shadow period. This is when a planet is traveling direct over a zodiacal degree range that will be imminently revisited by its upcoming retrograde. When Mars is retrograde, especially in the signs of Leo and Cancer, we all need to work with our basic instincts and impulses more attentively. These are times when small misunderstandings can escalate quickly into large conflicts, and when anger, aggression, and desires that are unconscious or unprocessed in our individual and collective experiences can surface suddenly and sometimes quite dramatically. These are also times when we can grow immensely and develop our individual and collective strengths, courage, capacities, and what I think of as our deep spiritual will. Ultimately, this is a transit that wants to help us use our power with more consciousness and also up-level our emotional and energetic awareness, especially around areas of conflict, impact, and intent. Sorting through the stuff of conflict is messy work. No matter what the conflict is, there is always more than what's visible on the surface. Since our personal and interpersonal experiences can't get separated from the institutional, environmental, and ideological, it can be profoundly overwhelming and hard to move towards conflict transformation when most of our issues are totally complex and entangled on multiple levels. In order to prepare for this transit, our faculty member, Ramon Parrish, is offering a 3-week series, November 7th through 21st, called Constellations of Conflict. In this series, we'll do the work of investigating the intersections of conflict as they emerge in our individual bodies, interrelationships, shared spaces, and the larger world. Through the lens of astrology, we'll use our natal placements, synastry, and transit timing as guides. We'll explore how current astrology and this Mars retrograde can help us navigate, engage, and skillfully meet this time of profound conflict and transformation here on Earth. This Scorpio season features a grand trine between the Sun in Scorpio, Mars in Cancer, and Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. This season, more than most, is a time of deep water and intense feelings. In astrospeak, water always asks us to move down and inwards, and to get in touch with our emotional bodies and internal experiences. Working with the wisdom of water also assists in working effectively with Earth, when we can craft and create containers that hold space for feelings to be as they are, we'll naturally find our way into flow, and what we don't need, we can let go in ways that nourish, cleanse, hydrate, and sustain. Over the weekend of November 9th and 10th, Embodied Astrology facilitators Gabs 404 and Janata Petrus will hold 2 watery, earthy sessions to make space for the following week's Taurus full moon. In November 9th's Nebula Lab, Gabs will be joined by Dani D'Amelia, a non-binary, eco-trans feminist artist and educator whose work with radical tenderness and hospicing modernity invites intimacy into the layers of life right now. This is an opportunity to be with the immensity of the moment, get grounded in our bodies, politicized in our healing practices, and held in our humanity by the larger cosmic web of inseparability. The following day, November 10th, Janata Petrus returns for the Taurus full moon edition of her monthly Artistic Alchemy series. In these classes, we orient with a full moon axis in our charts in order to reflect on our creative devotions and the realities of surviving in a capitalistic world that is filled with uncertainty and possibility. We practice staying grounded with the rhythms of astrology and spirit, channeling the wisdom of cosmic alignment, and opening to celestial guidance from our ancestors as support for living creatively through times of unknown. Following Janata's artistic alchemical opening, Sherry Taylor and I will co-lead a special council session the following weekend on Saturday, November 17th, which is the day after the full moon, where we'll focus specifically on astrology and ancestral attunement through working with the symbolism of Saturn. Sherry has been faculty at Embodied Astrology for over 2 years now, where her work in deepening and expanding Saturn's mythic and archetypal symbolism has yielded a powerful path of devotional practice. Our co-led session initiates a new cycle of Saturnian devotion, which Sherry will lead through 2 subsequent sessions, culminating on the December solstice. You can find more information about everything and everyone I just mentioned in the show notes or through the study section at embodiedastrology.com. If you can't make our live events, but you still want to participate, your registration will always include recording access. I certainly hope to see you soon over Scorpio season in one of our spaces. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening and engaging. I'm wishing you all the best in this season and beyond. Bye for now.